Hi everyone, it's nice to have you here again. My name is Arun Chandra Bhusal and I'm in my fourth semester of electronics engineering. Just like any other year, we've seen a fair share of societal, contemporary, and metaphysical issues being talked about on here. But rather than going into topics about existentialism and nihilism, this time I wanted to discuss something more hands on, the thoughts of our everyday lives. I promise you, this is going to be worthwhile. So, why not today I talk about the problem with being yourself? This idea about being ourselves has been perpetuated through ages by self help books, motivational gurus, and basically everyone around us. But is it really a good idea? Let's dive into good old metaphysics for a while. I want to ask you this question: who are you? Have you ever stopped for a second and asked yourself this? What constitutes you? What makes you you and not somebody else? While it's not every day that we're brooding with introspection, neglecting the complexities and intricacies of life, it sometimes helps to think of life as this simple game we got to see through to the end. As humans, we are merely the product of our circumstances. Our behaviors are just reflections of how we've lived our life so far. It's easier to think of life as a culmination of events and their consequences on our psyche. We go through multiple phases in our life. These phases come almost in a circle. But then again, as we move through time, our life progresses more or less in a straight line. When you combine the two, you get a spiral. We make mistakes. We take the right steps, we make the same mistakes later. But this time, our perception of those mistakes is different. Let's take an example of a major phase, say a breakup. Your fifth breakup will not impact you in the same way that your first one did. It is the same phase, just in a different position of the spiral. The impact that both of them have on you will certainly have a difference between them. This is to say that we go through changes. These changes, however minuscule, will impact and change our thoughts and opinions. Isn't that just what we are in essence? When Descartes, with his I think, therefore I am, perfectly sums up the definition of me. We are nothing but our ideas, opinions, perception, and our own reactions to different stimuli. All of these change as time goes on, and subsequently, it changes what we are. If change was non existent, what would be the point of time? Doesn't time exist just because things change from one moment to the other? If the universe didn't change at all, how would we define time? Have you ever found yourself taking a trip down memory lane? You reread your past conversation 4 or 5 years into the past. Hell, you take a look at what you were a year ago and you feel cringed out. I can't believe I was like this in the past. Was it really me doing all this? But of course, it was you. It has been you all along. You have just evolved over time to become what you are today, and you will no doubt be different in the future. So, which one is the real you then? The you of the past that was cringe, or the you of the present who is supposedly mature, or the you who is yet to even arrive? Now, let's take a look at this from a different light. Let me put my nerdy glasses on for this one. Think of yourself as a model. Not the Instagram influencer type model, but an AI model. When we create such a model, we provide weights and biases. These will dictate the behavior of that model. As we keep on iterating, modifying these values, the model starts behaving differently. Our thoughts can be considered much the same. We are raised by our parents and our close relatives who set the initial weights and biases. Our formative years see us in school, forming new habits and incorporating them in our model. Our neighborhood friend circles will add new layers to the model and modify existing values of those weights. As we grow older, the environment we are exposed to will greatly influence the personality that we hold. With time, a model will stabilize and start showing a consistent behavior, similar to how we remain rather unchanged in the short term after our 20s. That doesn't eliminate change as a whole, but it slows down significantly as we age. We adhere to our beliefs much more than we did when we were younger. Our subjective viewpoint about rights and wrongs will be a result of what knowledge we have accrued in our lifetime. That is what cements our identity and existence as ourselves. Someone has said, each of us is not a single person, but we are three. One is how you perceive ourselves, the other is how we present ourselves to the world, and next is how the world perceives us. The third aspect of this will differ significantly from one observing person to the other. You can't possibly know what the next person thinks about you, let alone change that. The only version of us we can change is the first one. You may say, "Oh, I try so hard to please others. I just can't be authentic around them or they will think I'm..." You can insert any derogatory adjective here. Weak, sad, evil, annoying, you name it. In fact, this is a part of who you are. The first two parts I mentioned before form your personality. It only means your personality demands you to please others while concealing what you think you are inside. You might have trust issues, anxiety, rampant intrusive thoughts, but that too is a part of your mental image. What you think you are doesn't necessarily have to be what you show to the world, because there's only so much impact you can have on how others see you. With all said and done then, what can we do to be ourselves? A better question would be, how can we become the best that we can possibly be so that we don't have to worry about being ourselves? We can set our priorities in the way that best fits the vision we have for us in the future. We must identify what traits attract us because that is how we find people who are on the same page as us, the people who could be a mirror to our own selves. And even so, we ought to be careful not to go overboard with our imagination of the future, because our fantasy of today might be a life we dread later on. Human life is very uncertain, and we might find ourselves disappointed when everything doesn't fall into place the way we thought it would. We must be willing to welcome the environment and let it naturally adjust our dials so that we can rest easy, knowing that wherever we might land, whatever we might become, it will still be us, as it is today and as it was yesterday. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me and all other talking minds to impart what insight we have about life, society, philosophy, or any other verbal domain. I'd like to wish the club and the current team all the best for what is to come in the future. And to everyone who decided to keep listening until the end, I'm eternally grateful to each of you for allowing me to serve you vocally for all this while. I hope you gained something from this, and if there's anything deep you would like to talk about, my name is Arun Chandra Bhusal, and I'm signing off. Peace.